Well, welcome back. This is module number 2 of your precinct training for the Republican Party of Bexar County. I hope you enjoyed module 1 and feel free to go through and look over your notes, but let's get started with module number 2. Learning is an exciting adventure, and the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men and women to do nothing. That's a great quote from Edmund Burke. If you've not read any of his work, he's really well worth reading. So, welcome to Module 2. There are 2 ways to view and review this material. There is a PDF version, which is the slides only, and the MP4 video version. You may want to download the PDF format for your own records and start a PC notebook. These modules are designed to be open source and shareable, and each can be studied at any time, whether you have watched a previous module or not. If you have any questions, please contact us GOP headquarters here in Bexar County, or go to beargop.org. You can call us at 210-824-9445. And these files will not self-destruct, but they will impact our enemies when you put them into practice. If you have printed out the PDF version from the previous module, may I suggest that you take some time and look over what you have learned so far. I learned this trick in college. I would take notes and then I would go through them 5 times before I actually had to take the test. One of the times I would start underlying, and then that would also save time when I was reviewing the 3rd, 4th, and 5th times. Here's a great quote from Napoleon Bonaparte. Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. I really like that. And another one from Edmund Burke. Nobody makes a greater mistake than he who did nothing because he could do only a little. So here's some Module 2 action steps. Again, continue to revisit and revise your vision statement from Module 1. Look up and be familiar with the Bexar GOP bylaws. Again, keep looking over there as you learn a little bit each time you go through them. Look up and be familiar with the GOP rules of order. And again, please continue our County Executive Committee meetings with more unity. Practice texting a picture with a message, and let us know if you have anyone that would like to become a precinct chair. Learning really is an exciting adventure. I am praying you have a great time going through these modules. It has been a joy to put these together for you. You may want to go through them more than once. I remember as I was learning, I went over this material 3 and 4 times. You'll get there. With each new adventure, there are new terms and words to learn. Feel free to submit questions or call. You're part of a team. In Module 2, we'll take a look at George Washington and the role that prayer played in his life and in the early days of our country. We'll also look at James Madison and the importance of vision. We'll look at ruler's law and what is meant by left and right. We'll take a look at some of the different types of governments and the central value of a republic. We'll look at our Republican Party structure and the 4-year political calendar. We'll explore what do precinct chairs do and being involved in conventions. We'll look at participating in a county executive committee meeting. We sometimes call that the CEC. We'll look at our governing documents and how we can move forward in unity. We'll look at what we believe and our Texas Party platform, and we'll discuss some of the factions in the Republican Party. Just a reminder that we are in a spiritual battle, not a physical one. And the sacred writings teach us that a spiritual foe cannot be defeated by physical means. Therefore, one of our most important weapons in defeating a spiritual enemy is prayer. Here's George Washington's prayer for our country, and this was penned back in June 8, 1783, from Newburgh, New York. And if you remember some of the dates, the British surrendered at Yorktown on October 19, 1781, but fighting did not formally end until 1783. The Treaty of Paris was signed on September 3rd, 1783, which brought everything to an end. So here's his prayer. I now make it my earnest prayer that God would have the United States in his holy protection, that he would incline the hearts of the citizens to cultivate a spirit of subordination and obedience to government, to entertain a brotherly affection and love for one another, for our fellow citizens of the United States at large, and particularly for their brethren who have served in the field. And finally, that he would most graciously be pleased to dispose us all to do justice, to love mercy, and to demean ourselves with that charity, humility, and pacific temper of mind which are the characteristics of the divine author of our blessed religion, and without an humble imitation of those of whose examples in these things we can never hope to be a happy nation. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. So yes, we are still going over the basics. And just like Vince Lombardi at every training would say, this is a football, it doesn't hurt for us to go over the very basics and to keep learning them and reinforcing those in our life. Here's some quotes on the importance of vision. Vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others. Where there is no vision, there is no hope. A vision is not just a picture of what could be. It is an appeal to our better selves, a call to become something more. Only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. The greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but that it is too low and we reach it. During the Revolutionary War, the government under the Articles of Confederation did not do very well at supplying the troops. It lacked a strong legislative branch to levy taxes and a strong executive branch to supply the needs of the war. So, where did we go from here? Enter James Madison. Here's some fun facts about James Madison. He was only 5'4" and still has been our shortest president. He's known as the father of the Constitution and the fourth president of the United States. He helped draft the original Articles of Confederation. He fought in the Revolutionary War. With Jefferson, he fought for religious freedom in his home state of Virginia. After the war, he did extensive studies of other societies to discover the best way for people to live peaceably together. That actually is what the goal of political science was in that era, how things have changed. He helped draft the Virginia Plan, which became a pattern for the Constitution. It divided the government into three branches, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial, with checks and balances. And the legislature had a House and a Senate, both apportioned by population. At the Constitutional Convention, he argued and helped draft the Constitution. He was one of the last of the Founding Fathers to serve as president. His passing marked the end of an era. Here's a quote from James Madison. The accumulation of all powers, legislative, executive, and judiciary, in the same hands, whether of one, a few, or many, and whether hereditary, self-appointed, or elective, may justly be pronounced the very definition of tyranny. The founders knew they were embarking into new territory. In the past, 99% of humanity had lived out their lives under systems where all the power resided in a ruler. They did not want to go down that path. Here are some historic examples. In a monarchy, you have rulership by one person based on a special bloodline, the divine right of kings. In an aristocracy, you have rulership by a privileged class, usually those with wealth. Today we see it in the World Economic Forum and those that attend Davos. In an empire, you have the consolidation of kingdoms ruled by an emperor, and a dictatorship where you have rule by one or more of a few leaders, often in the military. So what do we mean by left and right? This is the best explanation that I have seen. So on the left, you have 100% of rulers' laws, which we would call tyranny. On all the way to the right, you have no law, which would be anarchy. And somewhere in the middle would be what we have as people's law or the common law. Here's some problems with ruler's law. Power is concentrated in the ruler. The people have no inalienable rights. People are treated as subjects of the ruler. It's a government of men and not the rule of law. The people are structured into social and economic classes. Government force is always top down, not up from the people. Transfer of power is often violent. Overthrows, there's poison and civil war. Power exercised by force, compulsion, conquest, or legislative usurpation. And rulers create problems to be solved by more government and more taxes. I saw this years ago in one of Ann Lander's columns. Here's how she describes some of the different types of governments. In socialism, you have 2 cows. You give one to your neighbor. Communism, you have 2 cows. You give both cows to the government, and they may give you some of the milk. Fascism, you have 2 cows. You give all the milk to the government, and the government sells it. Nazism, you have 2 cows. The government shoots you and takes both cows. Anarchism, you have 2 cows, you keep both cows, shoot the government agent, and then steal another cow. Capitalism, you have 2 cows, you sell 1 cow and buy a bull. So what kind of government do we have? Well, from the Texas Declaration of Independence on the 2nd day of March, 1836, we read, "When a government has ceased to protect the lives, liberty, and property of the people, from whom its legislative powers are derived, that the people of Texas do now constitute a free, sovereign, and independent republic." Ben Franklin was asked at the Constitutional Convention, "What kind of government have you given us?" He said, "A republic, if you can keep it." We are a constitutional republic. John Adams said, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." So what are the central values of a republic? 1, liberty and inalienable rights, individual rights, are recognized. 2, recognizes the sovereignty of the people as the source of all authority and law. 3, it rejects monarchy, aristocracy, and hereditary political power. 4, it elects representatives to carry out the will of the people. 5, it espouses virtue and faithfulness in the performance of civic duties. I think we especially need to get back to that one. And number 6, it promotes the vilification of corruption. So as a party, how are we organized? So here's a chart I put together to help you better understand our party structure. The largest group that we represent would be the voters in your precinct. Then as a party, we have our precinct chairs, which is the real foundation of our party. And there we serve the voters through block walking, phone calling, and texting, just getting to know the people in our precinct. And as precinct chairs, we're part of the county executive committee, and that's made of the precinct chairs, the management committee, and then under them you have the state executive committee, which serves all of those above, and then finally the national committee. To the left, you'll see at the state level, partnership and coalition organizations. And those work in cooperation with the party to bring groups of citizens to the Texas Republican Party. And on the right, you see Republican clubs in Bexar County. And they work in cooperation with the party to bring groups of citizens to the Texas Republican Party here in Bexar County. So the four basic levels of organization is the precinct organization, and that's the precinct chairs. We recruit volunteers to help get out the vote. The precinct is the small unit of the party. It is also the most essential. Then you have the county party organization. The county chair and precinct chairs are elected by popular vote at the primary election held in March of even-numbered years. Then you have the state party organization. The State Republican Executive Committee is composed of the state chairman, the vice chairman, and one man and one woman from each of the 31 senatorial districts. Delegates are elected at the state convention held in May or June of even-numbered years. And finally, the National Party Organization, and it's composed of all state party chairmen. For Texas, it is currently Matt Rinaldi. Also, one committee man and one committee woman for each state and U.S. territories. I think you may find this slide helpful, and this talks about our four-year calendar. So in year one, you have the Texas gubernatorial inauguration, you have the Texas legislative session, the Texas constitutional amendments, candidates filed for primary election, and precinct chairs file for primary election. Then in year two, you have a primary election for precinct and senatorial districts and county conventions. You have the Texas State Convention and the presidential election. In year three, you have the presidential inauguration, the Texas legislative session, Texas constitutional amendments, candidates file for primary election, and precinct chairs file for primary elections. So you see some similarities between year one and year three. In year four, you have the primary election at the precinct and senatorial district and county conventions. You have the Texas State Convention, the National Convention, and the Texas gubernatorial election. You may want to look over that a couple of times, but I found that very helpful. So why are city elections not mentioned? Well, they are handled by the city. County, state, and national elections are handled by the county. So do we also work on city elections? Yes, they are also on odd years along with Texas constitutional amendments. So what does a precinct chair do? We get people involved in our precinct, we identify voters, we help with registering Republican voters, we inform the voters, and we help turn out the voters. So here's our class project for Module 2. Learn and practice texting a picture and a message to someone. So first we take a picture, then we locate that picture, and then we click on whatever we need to with our Apple phones. It'll say message, and then we can type out a message and then send that. I find this very effective in texting to some of the people in my precinct. When you're getting ready to send the second message, again, you would highlight the picture, and then you can go back to the first message and click on that and save the message that you wrote. Then you can come back to the new message and paste that to the new message and send it. And I've been able to do, in an hour's time, I've been able to do about 196 of these in an hour. So what does it mean to be involved in your local elections? Well, we endorse conservative candidates. We do election campaigning through handouts and push cards. We do block walking, phone calling, and texting. And we work the polls as judges and poll workers. And we hand out voter guides on election day. In the general election, we do the same kinds of things. Personally, I usually try to be at my election location or my polling location on election day and meet with voters and hand out election guides. There are also 4 levels of conventions. So we have the precinct convention, which is after the primary election, and there will be a packet at that primary location which you can pick up, and that is where we select delegates to the senatorial convention. Then you have the senatorial convention, and as a delegate, you'll be able to attend the convention in your senatorial district. There you can work on party platform planks, and these will be submitted to the state convention party platform committee. Delegates also may attend the state convention. Then there's the state convention, and as a delegate and grassroots leader, you have the opportunity to attend the state convention, and this year's convention will be held in San Antonio. Finally, the national convention. Every 4 years, 3 delegates and 3 alternates are elected to attend the national convention. There, they select the nominees for president and vice president. I have not done the last one yet. So what does it mean to serve on the County Executive Committee, or what we sometimes call the CEC? The CEC is made up of the county chair and all the precinct chairs, and you represent your precinct. Therefore, you should make an effort to attend. Your presence counts towards a quorum. We need 25%. And a quorum enables the party to do official business. If you cannot make it, there is no proxy voting. You need to be there in order to vote. So what are some of our governing documents? And you can download these from beargop.org and texasgop.org. So at the county level, we have rules of order, and we have Bexar County bylaws, and we have Robert's Rules of Order newly revised. At the state level, there are Texas party rules. Then there's the Texas SREC, that's the Senatorial Republican Executive Committee bylaws. We have the Texas party platform and the Texas Election Code. And again, we use Robert Rules of Order newly revised. So how do we move forward in unity? Well, first of all, we focus on what we agree on. Actually, we are more united than we think we are. So what is the Texas way? So what are some of the things that we agree on? Well, from the Declaration of Independence, it says all men, which refers to mankind, so it's not just men, it includes women. All men are created equal, and we are endowed by our Creator with unalienable rights, that among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I found these on the Bear GOP website. Here's some more things we agree on. The First Amendment. We believe in the freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press. We believe in being able to peaceably to assemble and to petition our government. We're pro-life from the womb to the tomb. We believe in the Second Amendment, our right to self-defense. We believe in secure borders. Nations and states need to have borders. We believe in strong families, which are the foundation of society. We believe in free enterprise without government interference. We believe in election integrity. It should be transparent and verifiable. We believe in limited government. The smaller, the better. We believe in equality before the law. We believe in equality of opportunity. We believe in personal and religious liberty, and we have respect for our military and first responders. Here's some things from the Republican Party platform. Number 1, we believe in American exceptionalism. 2, we believe the United States of America is unlike any other nation on earth. 3, we believe American is exceptional because of our historic role, first as a refuge, then as a defender, and now as an exemplar of liberty for the world to see. 4, we believe in the Constitution as our founding document. 5, we believe the Constitution was written not as a flexible document, but as our enduring covenant. 6, we believe our constitutional system of limited government, separation of powers, federalism, and the rights of the people must be preserved uncompromised for future generations. 7, we believe political freedom and economic freedom are indivisible. When political freedom and economic freedom are separated, both are in peril. When they are united, they are invincible. And 8, we believe that the people are the ultimate resource and that the people, not the government, are the best stewards of our country's God-given natural resources. So what made the United States unique and the exception? It was the first time in human history that three things came together in one nation: freedom of religion, the freedom to worship God according to the dictates and inspiration of our own soul, a free economic system instead of ruler's law, and the rule of law instead of the divine right of kings. This coming together has been called the 5,000-year leap. It created tremendous growth and freedom for the people. Any nation can follow our lead. Few have done so. Some ask if there are factions within the Republican Party. Well, there are conservatives and globalists. Globalists are also called the uniparty, the swamp, and an animal with one horn. Among the conservatives, we have a number of different types. We had your basic conservative. Those promote individual liberty and free market economics. Then you have social conservatives. You have Christian conservatives that seek to apply Christian teachings to politics, and you have log cabin Republicans who favor LGBT issues. Then we have libertarian conservatives. On social issues, they favor privacy. On foreign policy, they favor non-interventionism. Then we have neoconservatives who promote war with other countries, interventionist foreign policy, generally sticking our head where it doesn't belong. And the media tends to divide us currently into two groups: those of MAGA Republicans, those who support Trump and his policies, and anti-MAGA, those who don't like Trump. Wouldn't it be great if we could all learn to get along for the good of the party? Here's a good question. So is that how it always works out? No, often strong egos cause divisions and divisiveness. They often lose sight of the majority goals and focus on their pet peeves. They desire to accumulate power and control. We should seek instead the things that bring us together. Unity takes work. It means listening and compromise to move the ball down the field. It is also worth working towards. We all have personal passions and belief, and we can continue to pursue those in peaceful ways. We would do well to try to hear what the other side is saying instead of just digging in our heels. Look for where we agree and where we can work together. Building consensus takes time and effort. Patience is a hallmark of maturity. On the next slide, I'll show you what it sometimes looks like at a CEC meeting. So I found this on the internet, and I think it describes sometimes what we have seen at our CEC meetings. I want you to notice that the two bull elephants are down there in hot water. Then behind him you have another bull elephant that's kind of looking on in unbelief. And behind them you have a bunch of zebras that want to really stay out of the way. If we can learn to come together and not just fight, not just have the strong personalities fight for things that they want, it would be wonderful if we could all get along and have great CEC meetings. That's what I would like to see. So that takes care of another module. Again, we've seen this before. Here's two poems that I like. One man awake. One man awake awakens another. The second awakens his next door neighbor. And three awake can rouse the town and turn the whole place upside down. And many awake can raise such a fuss that it finally awakens the rest of us. One man awake with dawn in his eyes. multiplies. And this other one, the man who thinks he can. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win but think you can't, it's almost certain you won't. If you think you lose, you're lost. For out of the world we find, success begins with a person's will. It's a state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but sooner or later, the man who wins is the man who thinks they can. Well, that does it for Module 2. Thank you for participating, and there's more to come, so keep learning and growing. Feel free to go over these a number of times. I think it'll help you in mastering the material. Take care.